Brother West,
Yes, sir.
prayer time.
Yes, sir. Attention prayer. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Rahman Rahim. Malik Yawm Adin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Yes, sir. Brother West.
Yes, sir. In the name of Allah, Master Fard Muhammad, the one true and living God, to whom praise is due forever. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his messenger. Peace, family, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of WHID-FM. WHID-FM is your personal platform where those of us striving to follow the life-giving, life-saving teachings of the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as given to us by his premier pupil, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, gather right here in this virtual meeting place to answer that most critical question: what has Islam done for me? Tonight is Sunday, November 30th, 2025. And at this time, we're going to turn it over to our special guest co-host, Sister Latifa Muhammad, who's no stranger to WHID-FM. Sister Latifa.
Assalamu alaikum. In the most holy name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that He came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. We thank Him for coming, and we thank Him for raising the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is the great Messiah. And we thank both of them for extending themselves to us through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is the Messiah among us. So I am excited for the two guests that we have today. They happen to be sisters out of Muhammad Mosque number 24 in Richmond, where I am registered also. Our first is Sister Zoya Musawwir, and she's a striving registered MGT and Vanguard in the Nation of Islam. She is both a student in the class of God and is pursuing an architecture degree at Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland. Sister Zoya has a passion for transforming the atmosphere of spaces, and she's dedicated to create change through impactful service, creative expression, and the built environment. So we welcome Sister Zoya, and we also have with us Sister Tara X. And Sister Tara is no stranger to being a student. While being reared in the wilderness of Richmond, Virginia by a single mother, she excelled academically, ranking in the top 10 of her high school class. She defied all odds by being one of the first in her family to graduate from college. She graduated cum laude with a Bachelor of Science degree in mathematics from Hampton University, and I'll say go Pirates here. After teaching for 4 years, Sister Tara decided to make a change and work towards becoming a registered nurse. She began a certified nurse's aide, ultimately graduating from Piedmont, Virginia Community College and Old Dominion University with an Associate of Science in Nursing and a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, respectively. She has been a registered nurse for 5 years, specializing in a variety of specialties, such as medical, surgical, and progressive care. Though all of these professional accomplishments may sound appealing, it was the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that defined her purpose as a Black woman in the wilderness of North America and enhanced her knowledge. Islam has been reforming, resurrecting, and reshaping her since August 2018. Since becoming a registered member of the Nation of Islam, she has experienced love, commitment, and partnership, being married to Brother Shane X since March 2021 and gaining 4 children and birthing one named Sire. So welcome to the WHID FM cameras, Sister Zoya and Sister Tara.
Assalamualaikum.
And
Assalamu
Walaikum
alaikum.
salam. Walaikum salam. And are we going to see you all today? Or are we going to do this as a radio show?
I thought I had my camera on.
Yes,
Actually,
ma'am.
Oh,
let's see.
not a problem. Listening to both of your bios, and Sister Zoya gave such a short one, but I could honestly speak on Sister Zoya for a long time, having the opportunity to work with her at Muhammad University of Islam as a student and watching her grow up in the mosque. And so I want to start with you, Sister Zoya, and talk about your idea of transforming the atmosphere of spaces. So, what um, brought that into your consciousness that our spaces need transformation? And what do you see yourself doing in the future towards that end?
Yes, ma'am. First, I want to open in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Um, so, what that means to me, or where that had came from, was originally when I was in school. Like I had a passion for, or not in school, but in high school, I had a passion for like just creating like the aesthetics of things and just how spaces made me feel. I love libraries. I love how when you step into the atmosphere of libraries, it feels like you're ready to work. It feels like you're ready to read. So I love things like that. And then I tried to tie that to the Nation of Islam, and what our goal is with trying to bring in the hereafter. And I think like as a youth in the Nation of Islam, I think it's really like my purpose or my goal to you know to bring that forward, not even just in the present but thinking about our future. If Allah says that we're gonna have, or this is gonna be ours, how would I want that to look? How would I want that to feel for us? um I think that's pretty much like the idea of it. And then also I was thinking about, our youth today and how we don't really have many third spaces for them and for them to just go and, be themselves. So I think that designing spaces for that is very important. Um, and yes, ma'am. So,
Thank you. Praise be to Allah. Since we write our history in advance, at least it sounds like you're on the pathway to designing that type of history that we'll walk into. And Sister Tara, you stated in your bio that the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad defined your purpose as a Black woman. So, what today is your definition of purpose, and how do you feel like you are carrying that out?
And yes, ma'am, that is a beautiful question. And I will also open up by saying, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. And I would just say for that, my purpose as a Black woman, I think it's just number one. One of the things is carrying yourself um, with dignity and grace. As um, a Black woman in the wilderness of North America, we have been degraded in the bottom of the totem pole. And I think for us, I think just being a nation of Islam, we are an example for the Black woman. We are a true, we represent the true essence. We are the highest representation, of the Black woman, and just by what we learn. So I think just my purpose is just being a representation, of God's woman, and being a representation of what Allah can do for the Black woman. And we do not have to be, hard. We can be, I guess, shall I say, we are diamonds. We are elegant. We are graceful, and we are strong and powerful. And so I think that that is the purpose, of a Black woman. And I just think that that is the beauty of what the nation has offered for the Black woman.
Praise be to Allah. I want to go back to Sister Zoya. And Sister Zoya, being a new freshman on the college campus of Morgan State University, and as a young registered Muslim in the Nation of Islam, What have you found to be some challenges, and how has Morgan welcomed you as a registered member of the Nation of Islam?
Yes, ma'am. So being a freshman on college campus, so I want to first talk about my transition to college campus life because originally I was on online. I did online school um, for my whole high school career. And the transition from doing online to in person, it actually wasn't as bad as people would think or like assume. It was pretty smooth, like because I had the Nation of Islam, I had that community, to transition me into college. But how the college welcomed me, it wasn't like they welcomed me with open arms. I felt like Morgan State is that type of campus or that type of college where as long as you bring, your good vibes or you bring yourself, your authentic self, you will be accepted. A good example of that was the matriculation convocation that we had. It was mandatory for all freshmen, and the dress down was formal wear. And that was the first time I had worn my garment. I had worn a dark green garment. It was satin, and my friends and everybody, they complimented me on it. They were really accepted. Not accepted. They were really what's the word? Acceptive of it, and they really appreciated me just showing out and being myself. And then for challenges, there definitely comes with challenges. But it's not more so of me being in the Nation of Islam. It's my beliefs or what I stand for. So I guess it would be me being in the Nation of Islam, but what I stand for. For an example, for that, my DSBG class, which is an honors class for freshmen, the professors, they had an activity that we do where we basically had to so there was a group and it was an agree or disagree, and I was the agree side for statements we had to debate, and the statement was trying to think, can you have the conversation of evolution without the presence of God? And I was with the agree side, and basically one of the questions that the audience had asked, it was kind of off topic for me, but one of the questions the audience had asked was, can you prove that God is real? And for me, it kind of shocked me. And I should have been able to prove it. So I was a little bit disappointed in myself for that because we're taught in the Nation of Islam that we should be able to prove the teachings at no given time. But it really showed me like I never want to feel that again. Like I never want to feel incapable of proving what I say I believe in, like ever again. So that was like definitely one of the biggest challenges. But as for like accepting like who I am or what I stand for, it hasn't really been any problems with that at all.
Praise be to Allah. One thing that we can say is we can thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for the work that he has done in the Baltimore area and the many times that he graced Morgan State University. So that campus is well acquainted, and I'm very happy to hear that your acceptance there is beautiful. For both of you, as women in the Nation of Islam, young girls, vanguard, being in that front row in terms of leadership, in terms of developing for self, in terms of being the role models. What surah in the Quran guides you on a daily basis? Which surah do you turn to when you need that extra push to maintain that vanguard position? And we'll start with you first, Sister Tara.
Yes, ma'am. That is a really great question. Um, there are a few surahs actually that I would say that I turn to. Um, but I think the Al-Fatiha is going to be my first. Because the Al-Fatiha, that's why it is the oft repeating prayer, in Islam. And I think if we really parsed each of those words, you know, in that prayer, I would say that that is something that um gets me through as in regards to leadership and etc. Another surah that I do love is Surah 29, Ayat 45. I would say that that is the other surah that I would say that I turn to, just making sure that I practice patience and prayer. So that those are I would say the two um in specific that I turn to.
Please be to Allah. Sister Zoya.
Yes, ma'am. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest with you, I don't have a favorite surah, or one that motivates me. But there is this quote by, I believe it's the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that keeps me going. It's definitely be a cheerful worker. That's something that really is like really helpful for me, especially in college, because it's very easy to be down about the load of work that you have to do. But yes, ma'am, I don't have a favorite surah as of right now. Hopefully in the future, though.
All praises due to Allah. Again, for both of you, when we think about being the second self of God and knowing that being the creator is a principle for Him, what do you do um, creatively that keeps you connected to Allah, but also brings you satisfaction to know that your joy and your happiness can come from within and the gifts that Allah has given you instead of having to seek that externally? Sister Zoya, you can go first since you like the creating spaces.
Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna ask. Could you repeat the question one more time?
Yes, ma'am. I'm asking, what do you do for your personal creative self? What do you produce or what do you create? And I'm coming from the standpoint that oftentimes we seek joy and happiness externally. But when we have the creative sources within, we can bring that joy and happiness to self and then give it to others. How do you do that in your life?
um, I'm pretty sure there's many different ways, but a way that I can think of right now is I write short stories. That's like my kind of thing that I like to do. Like for, I guess, free time, I write short stories and try to imagine like worlds. Like, because I'm a very visual person. When I read a book, I can imagine like what the world will look like. So I think writing short stories, and then like my friends sometimes they're very interested. Like if I one time I had told them that I write short stories, they're interested in what I write sometimes. So I'll read it to them and be like, "Can you like imagine what I'm seeing like here in this story?" So I'll share that with them. But I would say definitely writing short stories and trying to imagine the worlds of, like I said, the hereafter or just futuristic things, and trying to see how far my imagination can go.
Okay, beautiful. Praise be to Allah. And Sister Tara.
Yes, ma'am. I would say I like to draw. I like to color. I do have I recently, my husband just purchased a devotional coloring book
Mhm.
for me, and that was something that just tapping back into it. But I would say I like to draw. I've kind of dabbled in some painting here and there. Uh, and I have been enjoying reading and kind of doing some audio reading and journaling. So I would say that those are my creative things that I like to do, internally. I would say drawing, coloring, and doing some reading.
Beautiful. So, Sister Tara stated that you started in mathematics and then you moved over into the nursing career. So, I want to go to the math first. How do we encourage our youth to not fear mathematics and to know that they can master mathematics? And what was your experience that actually made you even want to study mathematics on a higher level that might help some young people who are somewhat fearful of moving into higher math as they go up in school?
Yes, ma'am, that is a really great question. I would say, I would tell I would tell students, number one, you are mathematics. You know, it's just been disconnected from you, but you are mathematics, and anyone can do mathematics. Mathematics is discipline, and that is really the key. When in any math that you do, and some, and in my experience, some components I gravitate to more than others, of course, but the number one thing is discipline. And you have to be disciplined to understand the process. And sometimes the way that it's presented in the world, we don't always have an understanding of the background of it. We get a how to, everything is robotic, so to speak. But the one thing that I would say is that when it is explained and presented properly and with discipline, you can get any math that is placed before you. In regards to my influence with mathematics, um, the funny part of it was when I was in school, history was really kind of my niche. But I, again, that discipline, I just really, it was a challenge for me, and that's what I do love challenges. And so for me, that's what led me into majoring in math. I like that math is rooted in truth. That was one of the things that attracted me to it. It didn't matter. You could do math, you could do a mathematical equation 20 gazillion ways, but the answer is the same. We all have our own niche. And one time when I taught a pre-calculus course, and I mean, the young men in my class, they had one way that they learned to do it, and I had one young lady in that particular course, and she had a way to do it that I taught, but I understood both ways, and I said, let's go for it. So I think the beautiful part about math is it's rooted in truth, and with some discipline, anyone can do it. That's really all it takes. It just takes discipline, and it takes taking charge and just not being afraid for a challenge. And when you need and also finding out the foundation, where you we have to find out where did you get stuck. And that's really the kicker, I would say, to math is the foundations, understanding fractions, understanding decimals, understanding addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, because all of those things are building blocks as you elevate mathematically. So that's what I would tell students, anyone can do it. It just takes a little discipline. It just takes stepping up and taking charge, and just not being afraid to get stuck so that you can find the answer to the problem.
Okay. And what would you tell to parents in the early formative days of their children? What would be good to have around, like coming from grammar and language arts? I am big about building word walls. I'm big on putting labels on things so that children can make those associations when they go out, reading when they go in public. What can we start in the formative stages of our children to have in the home that make them more in tune to mathematics when they walk into a building?
Yes, ma'am. I would say one thing you can have is blocks. And they do make blocks that, for example, for fractions. So I do have that for my son that we've kind of played with a little bit here and there. And you can, it'll show you how, for example, a square is divided into fourths, and you can puzzle it together to where, you will have that in the home. They do make flashcards, with the numbers and with addition. I'm always big on using fingers and toes, and using shapes, using things that they play with, that they identify with, so and count them. And I think that that will also help with those building blocks. Um, Also, like when with multiplication is just a different form of addition. So when you get to that point, having, I always, you can have sticks, again, blocks. I really love blocks. You could do so many things with it, and work with your child, on the bit of just on counting, and then addition. and then, and just kind of building up from there. I will say some of the things that parents may struggle with. If a parent is intimidated by math, then it just transition with the child. So I would also encourage, if you could find a tutor, and if you could find a tutor for your child, if that's just an area, and for you, that way when you're at home, you can do those things, with your young God, and then that way it'll help with those building blocks. So that's what I would say. I love blocks. So if you can't go wrong with blocks. You can't go wrong with they have like color like I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, but they have like colored paddles that you could use that helps with counting and helps with those basic things. So that's what I would recommend. And they also have coloring books with addition and adding and shapes and things like that. I do recommend those as well.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, and I'm sure that parents thank you for that. Sister
Yes.
Zoya, as a student in architecture, are you finding that this is a field that more of our sisters are gravitating to? And what would you do to encourage us to move more into the field of architecture, since we generally inherit being the director of the home? The husband will purchase the home, but that space becomes where the mother and the wife really takes charge to make a house into a home. So how do you see women moving into architecture? Is that something that is big on the campus at Morgan? And what would you say to encourage other young girls to have that interest for architecture?
Yes, ma'am. Um, there is definitely a big interest in young Black women in architecture. In my class, they actually dominate. In my specific class, they dominate the overall, individuals in my classroom. Um, and there's a lot more coming in. I can tell already. There's a lot of trends on social media, and things like that. And I think it's a great thing, actually, because I believe that architecture is something that anybody can learn. There was a brother that my grandmother, Sister Tima, had shared with me, who taught himself how to be an architect. I don't think he went to school. I hope she corrects me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he went to school. He taught himself how to be an architect. So it's not a hard profession at all. It's just a very demanding profession, um, that you'll hear a lot of people say. It definitely is time consuming and it's very tedious, but it's a good profession. It teaches you a lot about time management. It teaches you how to it teaches you skills. It's a good profession to go into for personal development and for like developing your environment. Um, for advice to give little girls, that's hard. I mean, it's not hard, but I haven't thought about it. I would say, if you enjoy like things like if you enjoy how there's different like forms of architecture. Architecture is a broad like profession. So there's different things that you can go into. You could be like a set designer. There's interior design. That's not really like architecture, but it's a facet of it. So there's different things. It's not just strictly designing buildings, I would say. So don't feel like overwhelmed by like the math thing too. What Sister Tara she was talking about. Because me personally, I wasn't that great at math either. Like I really struggled with math, but it's not a lot of math in architecture. It's more so theory and just being able to be creative enough to produce what comes out of your mind. Basically, just showing your God abilities, like taking theory and making it practical, pretty much. So don't be like afraid of the math part of it or anything else. Like if it's a male dominated field, like it's not that. It's really just more so your journey in architecture, and if that's what you want to do. That's how.
Beautiful.
Yes, ma'am.
Beautiful. I think you have encouraged the young sisters to look into that. I want to take us into one of the exercises from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in study guides. And he asks us to step into the shoes of others. so that we can see what people have gone through before we make certain judgments or we begin to make certain decisions. So, what are some shoes that you feel like you either have stepped in that has helped you to improve your life, or who are some shoes that you would like to walk in so that it can give you something in terms of growth and development for self-improvement? And I would ask both of you that question, and I'll start back with Sister Zoya.
Yes, ma'am. You said some shoes I would like to walk in, like someone I would like to connect to. Isn't that
Well,
one?
specifically, he gave us Mother Clara Muhammad at one point for us to walk into her shoes. So, how does that exercise in our everyday life? How can that help you? So, are there shoes that you have tried to walk in that has helped you, or are there shoes that you would like to walk in that you think would be an asset to your personal development?
Yes, ma'am. So there are shoes that I would like to walk in. Mother Tanetta Muhammad is a good example. Um, Her fascination, or not fascination, but her knowledge with the brain and how that works, I think that that's something I'm really, really interested in. Um, and the way that she lived her life, and I don't know, just the knowledge that she had whenever you hear her speak, it's just something that I would like to embody. Her and sister Dr. Minister Ava Muhammad, those two definitely are some individuals that I would like to walk in, like shoes I would like to walk in.
Praise be to Allah. Go ahead. It sounded like you had more. Is
Oh
more coming to you?
no, ma'am, that's it for right
All right. And Sister Tara, what about you and shoes you either have walked in or would like to walk in?
Um, I don't know if I have walked in anyone's in any beautiful sister's shoes, but I mean there are a lot of sisters that I would say that I admire. Um, I do Mother Clara Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with her. I think that that's a beautiful example. Mother Khadijah, um, Farrakhan. I mean, just she's just so regal and so elegant and is resilient. And she, she's just a beautiful representation of our nation. I also agree with Sister Zoya with Mother Tinetta. May Allah be pleased, and as well as Sister Ava, may Allah be pleased. And I would even say our student national MGT captain. I mean, they just the way that they carry themselves and conduct themselves. Um, I think it's some pretty big shoes to fill, but I pray that just with some study and just continuing to strive, I think if I could even just get a piece of salt of their shoes, it would be a blessing. So that's what I would say. Yes, ma'am.
Praise be to Allah. Sister Tara, I want to ask you, listening to the news recently, we've heard that the nursing degree and the study of nursing is being downgraded in terms of the academic world. Um, what would you say to encourage those who are in nursing and who are um, pursuing nursing degrees to not be discouraged by this world's explanation, but to help them to understand their true value by pursuing a nursing career in this climate today?
Yes, ma'am. I can attest maybe to some of the things that are occurring in nursing, as the training is not where it used to be, especially during the COVID academic. Everybody is just looking for bodies to fill these positions, and and then it's a lot of other factors to it that it's not really worth entertaining. But one thing I will say, as far as encouragement, it is if nursing is something that you want to do, it's doing you're doing a lot's work. When you're a nurse. any type of thing in the medical field, and the heart has to be into it, the mind and the soul. It has to be into it because you are taking care of someone. You have someone's life in your hand, and if that is something that you want to do, you know, be well versed in it. Do whatever you can to succeed in that. When it comes down to taking, of course, these state tests or whatever the case may be, so that you can be classified as a registered nurse or licensed practical nurse, whatever you choose to do, nurse practitioner, whatever. Put your heart and soul into it. Love it. Be devoted to it. And when you're taking care of somebody and you have someone's life in your hand, make sure that you use those critical thinking skills. Make sure that you walk that post in a perfect manner, keeping always on an alert. Make sure that that's something that you love. Make sure that you study. Make sure that you stay up to date with what is happening. And if you are in the nation, we have How to Eat to Live. Share that with your patients. And if the heart and soul is into it, you know, all the derogatory, comments and things is null and void, because if you're doing Allah's work, you will be raised, you will be elevated. So it's just a matter of striving, studying, and putting your heart and soul into it. If that's something you want to do, if your intention is not in the right place, that's another story. But if your heart and soul is into it, do it. If you want to take care of people, do it. That was the reason why I got into it, because I wanted to take care of people in a different way. And I started right as a nurse's aide and I worked my way up. I said, if I won't enjoy it as a nurse aide, I won't enjoy it as a nurse. And I have been on this road ever since. And I just say, love it. Love what you do, stay abreast with it, and save lives.
Praise is due to Allah. I want to take us now to both of your growing up and domestic background. So, Sister Zoya, you came from a large family, lots of brothers and sisters, and then you grew up and now you've gone away to college and you're on your own. What is that like, and how would you describe that to someone coming from that strong nuclear group that you have in your family and in your household with lots of little people around, and now you're away in college and you may have a single roommate or a few in your circle? What has that been like for you?
Yes, ma'am. I would say that it hasn't been as much of a challenge as I thought it would be, because the fact that I did have so many siblings, it made it easier for me to connect to people around me, different personalities, different backgrounds. Because the minister said, make friendships in all walks of life. And I feel like having the amount of siblings that I did, it made it a lot easier for me. Um, but it hasn't been a bad or like a hard transition. But I will say that I do find myself like it being too quiet around me sometimes. So I'll have to always study with music in my ear, or I'll have to have some type of noise going on when I study, because I'm so used to like that the house being loud. So I have to adapt in that way. But otherwise, it hasn't been hard or anything. It's been actually um, pretty easy. It's been a blessing, honestly, to be where I am. But yeah, it hasn't been hard at all.
Beautiful. And Sister Tara, you wrote in your bio, um, getting married when you did and coming into 4 children before even giving birth to your own. So, how was that for you, going from that single life and now in a marriage and becoming a parent right away?
Um, that's a really great question. I would just say, I just base my experience. My father did marry someone else, and just kind of going through those struggles. And I think, one of the things I always like to say, when you go into a marriage and your spouse has children, one of the things that I did was I just took a level of humility, and I respected the fact that that this is their father, and that this is their life. and they were in the picture, and I'm a new person coming into the picture. And so establishing that relationship, um, with with Solomon, it was not as difficult. With Sanaa, it was definitely with a female. It was. It was a little bit. I had to be patient. Allow the children to really establish a relationship with me. The oldest children, they had a different lifestyle, so I didn't get a chance to really spend the quality of time with them. But I just let my heart be open, and so and allow them to come into my space, and I waited for them to allow me to come into theirs, and I also respected their mother, and there are certain boundaries that I did not cross because I respected her, and I also respected my husband in regards to that. So I think just you know being practicing a level of humility. Sometimes we come into a relationship, and that individual has children, and I'm the wife, or I'm the this and I'm the that, and it's like you forget that these children had their relationship with their parent, and you're a new person coming into the room. You have to set a foundation and build pillars. So I would just say I just had to humble myself and be patient with them, and it actually worked out where I do have a healthy relationship, you know, with my older children. And it's been a blessing. Like, they come to me, for advice, when they need something, especially, with my daughter, if she has something that she needs a feminine perspective about, that she needs guidance on, she'll come to me. But it just took a matter of patience. It took a matter of time, and really establishing a bond, and a lot, and setting boundaries of what doors I'm gonna, what I'm gonna do and what I'm not gonna do. And so that's what I would say. I would say just kind of coming to that. I already had it implanted in my mind. I already had it implanted in my mind what kind of wife I wanted to be. But I also had it implanted in my mind how, if my spouse was going to have children, how I would treat them, what kind of relationship I want. So again, as you had mentioned about writing your history in advance, that was something that I had thought about, and I just executed it when it came to them. And I practiced a level of humility and patience.
All praises due to Allah. That beautiful, beautiful. Sister Zoya, Sister Amina Rasul Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with her, who was one of the greatest MGT and GCC instructors under the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. She taught a lesson that said, while we are single, speaking to the MGT, that we should take time to get to know self and to get closer to Allah. So in this time in your single life as a young single sister, how are you getting to know Sister Zoya, and how are you trying to get to know Allah more in your life?
Yes, ma'am. That's a great question. That kind of goes back to the last question too, because I wanted to add something else to just let everybody know that it's not all peaches and cream in college, because I definitely have to call my parents. Like, I call my parents a lot more than I talked to them when I lived at home. But like, I call my mom all the time for any little thing, like any little thing. So I would definitely say that that's also been part of the transition from going from family to school life. But to this question, self discovery, I was actually on the phone with my mom like maybe a month or two into my first semester, into this semester, and I was calling her because I was like, I don't know, like, this is a little bit challenging with trying to balance, a law, or not a law, but the nation and college life. And what she had told me, she was like, there's really no balance that's needed there. It's really just you put a law first, and that's that. But I was thinking of it as trying to be, or trying to find myself outside of what the nation was for me. And that's really just, it just wasn't what that was supposed to be, because at the end of the day, Islam isn't a religion, it's a way of life. So the way that I'm living my life is how is like is me being me basically, because we're supposed to accept our own and be ourselves. And I don't know why that was such a disconnect for me when I first got to college, but it was like I was really struggling. I was like, Mom, like I don't know how to make these mistakes without, feeling guilty all the time, this and that. Even if it's not a mistake, like it doesn't even have to be a big mistake. It's just being out on your own and trying to do things. Um, like for instance, I would stay out like late in front of the dorm, and I wouldn't be like anywhere. Like I know we're not supposed to be late, but I would stay out late. One time we were playing card games, and I had called my mom afterwards, and I was like, "Wow, like I've never stayed out this late before." Like I would just call her for any little thing, and then I would like kind of beat myself up over it. But at the end of the day, it was really just me trying to explore my boundaries. But that's the thing I love about the Nation of Islam. They give you boundaries. There's laws for you to follow, and it's for your safety, and it's not to restrict you. So I would say that that's been a good that's been a challenge for me, but I'll say trying to figure out yourself while you're single is actually a blessing, like because I can't imagine having to worry about somebody else while trying to figure out what I like, trying to figure out what I want to eat for dinner every night. Like it is different things when you're on your own. It's really different. Yes, ma'am. That's what I answer.
Oh, thank you so much. And truly, you have helped a lot of people with the way you responded because you hit the core that our Islam is a way of life. And we tend to think that we are integrating something into something else and balancing the other. But everything has to be done with the Islam as the foundation. So that is very beautiful. And you thank Allah for your mother and that guidance that she gave you because that was absolutely on point. And couldn't think of, a better response from you as a young sister for other young sisters to hear. And Sister Tara, recently, when I was on the Al Nuafaja prayer line with Muhammad Mas number 24, your husband gave such a beautiful testimony about you through Ask Us a Student Captain Samantha Elamine in saying how she was such a force in the courtship process for you and as an advocate of the courtship process. So could you talk some about the value not only of the courtship process, but having that kind of leadership in front of the sisters to help in the protection as you go through that process?
Yes, ma'am. I pray that I can answer I can answer this question in its entirety. But I would just say with Sister Captain Samantha, she definitely was an advocate. And of course sometimes you don't see things, then than you do now, but she did. She was an advocate. And I remember the day we got married, she told me if I needed anything, and she was very emphasis like anything, I am only a phone call away. But I think, for the courtship process, number one, as a woman, you are the second self to God. And with that, and I don't mean that you're second or behind. So that you are sacred. Allah studied you and made you to be a builder of civilization. And so you have to protect yourself, and you make sure you check 20,000 times. You check in its entirety to make sure that this person, that this man that you are giving yourself to is qualified and deemed possible. And when you are in a courtship process, because courtship process it's a private matter. However, the right people need to know. And one of the people that need to know is your sister MGT captain. I would say like that is it, that is crucial. They need to know about your courtship process. They need to know what is happening. Your student minister needs to know about your courtship process because this is the person that may be marrying you. But I would just say, ask the questions that you need to ask because this is your life. I was looking, my husband and I, we occasionally like to look at the nature channel, and birds have to work hard to find a mate. They have to prove themselves qualified for their mate, for a female mate. And so if they have to do all of that, then that means that when you're in that courtship process, you know, and you're doing it the right way, making sure the right people know, but you do whatever is necessary to protect yourself. And I would also say, just this is why going to your classes, going to your MGT classes is important, because it's going to teach you how to protect yourself, teach you how to ask questions, because you are taking this person to court. This is not dating. It was a like an Instagram video that my husband actually sent to me. And it was a sister that was talking, it was an Islamic sister, and she was talking about dating is like wandering. You don't have a direction in which you're going. You don't have a destination. But the courtship process, you have a destination. And as a woman, you have to be mindful of your destination. And you have to make sure that you again, knowing what kind of husband you want, knowing what kind of wife you want to become. And then when y'all come to the table in that courtship process, doing whatever is necessary to protect yourself. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Some things I didn't do right and some things I did. I wasn't, crazy, but one thing I will say is like just that protective matter. And I would say I appreciate now, especially with Sister Captain Samantha, just making sure that she let it be known, like, hey, this is precious cargo. And it's a blessing when you have your sister captains, when you have your sisters around you that's willing to be a fort to protect you, because it keeps you in mind to be mindful of how to protect yourself. But those are the things that I would say. I pray I answered an inkling of the question. But that's what I would say in regards to that process is, when you have this nation, use it. Open your heart and open your mind, and you'll realize that you have everything you need around you. And one of the things that I would say that I've been learning in my process of being in the nation is that I have sisters all around me that are willing that have been willing and are willing to make sure that I'm okay. It's just a matter of me opening up my heart. And when you do that and you go into this courtship process, guess what? You already know you have sisters all around you, from the front to the back and the left and the right. They will be a fort to just be mindful of that courtship process, and that brother will be aware that you are not, even if and you ask Allah to guide you in that process too. Because if it's something weird or crazy or off and you see that, guess what? That brother see that fort, he's not messing around. He'll think
Hmm.
twice and three times. So that's what I would say about that.
All praise is due to Allah. Thank you so much. I'm going to go back to Sister Zoya and her processing in coming into the Nation of Islam, being reared as a young child in the nation, but she's one of those who decided to accept her own and be herself early, and writing her letter as soon as she could. Sister Zoya, would you talk about that process versus the peer pressure that some get, and in some cases, the mom dad pressure that some children get? What was it like for you coming into the knowledge that you wanted to be a registered member at an early age in the Nation of Islam?
Yes, ma'am. With that, it okay. So I had started writing my letter. I can't remember when I started writing my letter, but it was a little bit before I had turned 16. I mean, before I had turned 17. So I was writing my letter like consistently, and I think I sent it in about 2 or 3 times, but it was a really really hard process. Like it wasn't nothing easy at all. The pressures, I don't think I felt pressured by my parents, although they did. Like my dad, he definitely was like a big advocate for it, and like definitely was like, you got to write your letter. I honestly, I kind of blocked that out. It was more so for me. Like I had wrote my letter for me. I don't remember what it was that had. Oh no, it was the Vanguard retreat. I don't remember what year it was, but the Vanguard retreat really it had did something to my mental or like just in general where I just was like I need to be a part of this forever. Like just experiencing
Mm.
all of the young Vanguard there, the MGT. I mean, it was beautiful. So that's something I was like I need to be a part of forever. Like so I had wrote my letter, or I had started writing my letter, I think after that experience. But writing the letter itself, it was not easy at all, like at all. But I finally did it and I felt so accomplished. And I got to graduate that following Savior's Day, which was great. But there was definitely pressures, but for me, like I think that's just a me thing too. I didn't really listen to the pressures. It was more so because of things I've experienced. My grandmother too, she was a big influence for me. And MUI, definitely MUI too. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, praises to Allah. Thank you so much. This has been one of the greatest joys of being at WHID-FM, being able to interview you two that I know and love. So I thank you. And we're going to turn it over now to Brother West, who will have questions for you after the station ID. Thank you very much, and assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, and yes, ma'am. Thank
Like
you for your wonderful
salam.
questions, Sister Latifa. Always a pleasure. Family, we just want to remind you that you are tuned in and listening to WHID-FM. What has Islam done for me? And we thank you for spending your valuable time with us because without you, there is no WHID-FM. If you have any suggestions for us, any things you would like to see on the show, you can give us an email at WHID1919 at gmail.com. Also, please subscribe to WHID-FM on YouTube and follow us on Facebook if you haven't already. And family, next week our guests will be, inshallah, Brother Sean and his wife, Sister Melissa Muhammad. So make sure you tune in right back here, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another wonderful episode. And family, we will be right back after these messages. That's right, family. We want you to continue to support Black independent education by, of course, purchasing a Supreme Bean Pie. Now, this world famous treat is not only delicious, but all proceeds are donated to MUI Chicago. So please help change our condition one pie at a time by visiting thesupremebeanpie.com to purchase a bean pie today, or you can give a donation to continue supporting Black independent education. And with that, we're going to continue our program, some more our questions. So I definitely enjoyed listening to a lot of Sister Latifah's questions. I feel like she asked a couple of things that I was going to ask, honestly. So my first question for you, Sister Tar, we'll start with you. What is the greatest piece of advice you've been given by a fellow believer? Now, I know you shared a little bit of advice that you received after your marriage, of course. But if there was even another example that you had to share with the general population of believers out there, what advice would you give them that you received from another believer?
Yes, sir. That's a beautiful question. The best advice that I had received was from Sister Princina at Muhammad Mosque number 24. And she told me that I have to make Allah sufficient for me. I did not grow up in the Nation of Islam. And so when I made this transition, it was not widely accepted. And so, Sister Princina has stated this in front of my mother. My mother had came to a meeting and stated it right in front of her, and she said, "You need to make Allah sufficient for you." And it took me a long time to understand it, but that's the advice that I would say. If you're walking this walk, and you're living in this is your way of life, you have to make it sufficient for you. You have to make Allah sufficient for you, and you have to turn to Allah, and Allah will give you everything that you need.
All praises due to Allah. It's definitely a wonderful piece of advice. I've talked to a few believers who've had similar situations like that. They weren't supported in the Nation of Islam until they accepted their own, they became themselves, then they grew into the family that the Nation of Islam provides, of course. Sister Zoya, did you want to share a piece of advice that you've been given?
Yes, sir. A piece of advice that I've been given by multiple believers, but especially my dad, was to fear no one but Allah. And I think that that's most important, especially this day and age, and especially for college students, especially for the youth, to fear nobody but Allah. Like, because He's the only one that can really take this thing down, control. He's the one in control, and it really puts something in you to just be like, I can do whatever it is that I put my mind to. Like, of course, there's you can be honest with yourself. You know what your limitations are, but if you fear nobody but Allah, like there's really nothing that anybody could say about you, anybody could say to you. It's not a type of arrogance. It's more of like I don't know the word. It's more of like it's a fearlessness. Like it's you really you can do what you want to do, even if you do it nervous, like now. But you're gonna do what you want to do if you keep that in the forefront of your mind.
All praises due to Allah. I definitely agree with that. Fear and no man, no woman, just belief in Allah definitely can take you a long way. Now, my next question for you both: with Savior's Day season right around the corner, all roads are leading to Detroit, of course. How would you describe Savior's Day to someone who has never been, they've never heard of it? And do you believe or do you think that every black man or black woman should attend Savior's Day regardless of their religious beliefs or their background? And we can start with whoever would like to go first.
Go ahead, Sister Zoya.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Um, how would I describe Savior's Day? Savior's Day is like it's not really something you can describe. It's more of like it's just a feeling of like unity. In one word, I would say I can describe it as unity, unification. It's just like no matter the walks of life or where they come from, there's black people everywhere you look. It's like a utopia. Like it's very great. There's people selling things. You're buying black all the time. Um, I don't know. It's a different kind of atmosphere than anything I've ever experienced before. I do believe that all black men and women should go to Savior's Day, regardless if you are a follower of the Nation of Islam or not. I know there's been plenty of individuals who have attended Savior's Day who aren't a part of the nation, but do believe in the message in the words of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. So I would say it's kind of indescribable. I would say because I can't find the words for it, but it's very like in one word, it's unity. Like it's nothing you've ever experienced before. Well, for me.
Absolutely true. I've definitely heard a lot of people say it's been heaven. I've heard utopia. I've even heard Wakanda. Somebody said it's like Wakanda from Black Panther. So all of those for sure. Sister Tara, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Um, I mean, I think Sister Zoya hit it. I was thinking about the Hajj of the West. That's kind of the way I think of Savior's Day. If you're able to go, and make that pilgrimage, to Savior's Day is definitely a treat, even if you go at least once. And as Sister Zoya stated, it's black people everywhere. I actually was blessed to go for the first time last year, and it was definitely an experience that I had never experienced, and it was beautiful because you saw people everywhere, different walks of life, and the learning and the books. I mean, We actually had to get another suitcase because of how many books we got. But I would say, it's a pilgrimage, and it is. I would say it's like it's unity. It's a heavenly experience.
All praises due to him. I think that's a wonderful way to describe it for sure. I believe that everybody should attend Savior's Day, especially us, black men and women in America in general. I feel like it will open a lot of our eyes to what's going on, what's out there. My next question for you all is concerning the Honorable Elijah Muhammad declaring that 75% of his work is with the women. I wanted to know what did you both think about that statement? What comes to mind when you hear that? And how did it influence, or is it influencing the way that you move throughout the Nation of Islam? Whoever would like to go first.
I guess I'll take it. Um, for me, I would say that we are the creators of, human. We're not the creators, but we are sub-creators of human life from the creator, Allah. And for me, that's a big thing. Um, so that's why majority of our work is with. Well, that's why majority of the work is with the women. I'm sorry, but personally, I see that in architecture too. Um, architecture is it's a very straightforward field, but I think with the presence of women or women in the field, they influence better design. I'm still kind of new to the field, but that's what I've been seeing, like that I've been experiencing, and it's just they bring something else to creation in general. I think women bring something else to creation in general, like not even just human life, but they just spark up a room like with decor. I mean, the food, if a woman cook your food, I mean, it's just something a little different with us that Allah had done. So that's what I think of.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. And you, Sister Tara.
Um, if 75% of the work is with a woman, I think that, I'm gonna, of course, piggy on what Sister Zoya was saying. We are co-operators with Allah. Allah, uh, we were created, you know, to be we impact civilization. We are the builders of civilization. And so if there are no, as the messenger has taught us, that if there are no good women, there are no good women, there are no good men. And so, and if we are the nurses, if we are the first teachers, the first nurses, you know, the first in so many of these things when it comes to raising a nation, then 75% needs to be with that woman. We need to be equipped to do the nation building. We are equipped, we have to be equipped to move civilization into another degree, in another way, and we have to do it in Allah's way. We are closely connected with Allah. And so when I think about it, I mean, 75% of your body is made of water. Well, and sometimes they say that, water is feminine in nature. Well, 75% of that work needs to be with the woman, because water does a lot. Water is powerful. So that's what I would say about that.
All praises due to Allah. I think that's a wonderful perspective from both of you. And next, when you're not in the Nation of Islam, like studying at the mosque or even helping out in the community, how do you both relax and debrief? What do you do in your spare time, like for fun, if you had to share? Whoever wanted to go first.
Okay, this time out. I got my sister. I'll do it first. Um, what do I do for fun? Um, I mean, I'm always, moving around with my family, but I would say one of the things that I like to do for fun, um, again, the reading part, I love listening to music. I love day trips, just traveling to different places. I love museums, you know. I mean, I could go to a museum and be there all day and just read and parse and learn information. Um, I love again spending time with my family. So I would say just those things outside of the nation, coloring, drawing. As I had mentioned, I've gotten into doing some more journaling, just kind of taking care of mental health, releasing things, releasing tension that I may hold on to. So I would say that's some of the things that I like to do for fun and reading. I've been getting into more books, a variety of books.
Praise be to Allah. I think that's wonderful. It's great to read and learn new information, like you said, especially at the museum. The museum is, I think, it's underrated personally. You, Sister Zoya.
Yes. I like to do spontaneous things. It's never one set thing that I like to do. Like, cause you can ask my mom. I have many hobbies. Like, I have so many hobbies, and a lot of the times I'll pick something up and then I'll jump to another hobby. Like crocheting. I never got great at that because I jumped to another hobby. I love to put Legos together. What else I like to do? I like to read. I like to do a lot of different things. Like it really is just a spur of a moment thing. Unless it's like a set controlled or like I'm gonna do this thing at this time. If it's something that I don't have already scheduled to do, then it's just spontaneous. I like to do anything.
All praise is due to Allah. And I asked that question to just show a different side of us in the Nation of Islam, especially, I would say, the MGT sense. It can be misinterpreted that, oh, they just read books all day or they just study at the mosque all day, So I just wanted to mix it up a little bit for the audience, of course. My next question before we return back to Sister Latifa, I want to ask you both if you had to summarize your journey in the Nation of Islam that you've currently been through in 5 words, what would those 5 words be, and why specifically those 5?
Okay, I think I I think I can do it. Growth is one. Resilience. Um, Passionate. What's another one? Okay, I have 2 more. Definitely a lot of love and challenge. Those are 5 words. I don't know. I can't explain why I chose them right now, but those are 5 words. Unless it's Virgo.
All right, yes, ma'am. We'll come back to you. You, Sister Tar.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I thought resurrecting, that was one. I thought purifying. I agree, growth. I thought about metamorphosis. I think about a butterfly, so that's why I chose metamorphosis. And I would say peaceful. Those would be my 5 words.
And did you have a breakdown of those words specifically?
Well, look. I'll do my best to summarize for the resurrection part. The thing is resurging. You're rising up again, and I would say like the nation just opened my eyes and it opened my heart and it allowed me to stand, with my shoulders erect and stand as a Black woman in the wilderness in North America and be confident, as a modest woman and striving to be modest as much as possible. Purifying. So purification, it eliminates those toxins out of your system and out of your heart, etc. So I said purifying because it's eliminating the things that deem me no good. This is what Islam does and has done is doing for me. I said a metamorphosis because for me, you have a caterpillar. Caterpillar is on all those little legs there, and they go into a cocoon. And for me, I've been in a cocoon for quite some time, and then, the next thing you know, after they have been in that cocoon, they just transform into a butterfly. So that's the reason why I said metamorphosis. I also peace. I said growth because as these things, though the 3 words that I mentioned, you can't do that without growing. And so that's why I chose growth as well. And lastly, peaceful because even though you have Shaitan trying to come at you at all fours. You know, the blessing is if you just stay the course, you'll have the peace you need, even in a world that is just chaotic and has a lot going on. It's like you're so focused and you're so zoned out. You know, you're just focused on a lot. You just focused on your way of life. And so, you know, the other things around you just they don't affect you because of the life that you have been given. So that's what I would say.
Praise be to Allah. I think that's a great five, and I like the breakdown you had behind it, of course. And you, Sister Zoya, did you come up with your five?
Yes, sir. I can try to break it down as best I can.
All right, yes.
Um, so for growth, I said growth because it's constantly changing and growing. You're learning new things, whether that's like learning a new lie about the world that we were told growing up, or a new truth from the minister's teachings. Like a lot of people say, you can listen to his lectures a million times over and still miss something. So you're constantly growing and learning from his teachings. Resilience, I would say it takes a lot of resilience to walk the life of a Muslim, especially a Muslim of the Nation of Islam. But in general, to walk the life of a Muslim in a world or a society like this, it takes a lot of resilience. Um, but I would say to Sister Tara's point, it's a sort of peace that comes with that, though. So yes, so resilience. You have to be passionate. I chose passionate. You have to be passionate for change and passionate about your people, which is why I also chose love. You have to have a certain amount of love for people, but not even just people, for Black people, but for yourself. Like you have to love yourself enough to be like, okay, well, if I get right, I can help somebody else get right. You're constantly pulling others up, not just thinking about yourself. And then challenging. It's definitely a challenge. Like it's not the easiest thing in the world at all. But it's worth it. It's always worth it in the end. So.
All praises be to Allah. I think that's wonderful response from both of you. And Sister Latifa, if you've returned, we'll turn it back over to you, ma'am. Sister Latifa.
No, it's
Praise be
gonna
to
good to
Allah.
see you again. So I have two closing questions. The first one, and both questions will be for both of you. Which of the 7 units of our MGT and GCC classes has impacted you the most, and how do you use it in your everyday living? So, which of the 7, and how do you use it in your everyday living? And either of you may go first.
I'm gonna go ahead and go first. That's a pretty big question, Sister Latifa. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say how to act at home and abroad. And I know that's kind of like two, but I would say that those are the ones. Those are one of the 7 units that impacts me. And the reason why I say that is because if you're the way that you act, it influences how you cook, how you sew, how you keep house, and how you take care of your husband and how you rear your children. I just think that how to act at home and abroad, it impacts it just impacts all the other units. So that's the reason why I would say um that's the one that I would say that I gravitate to, because I always strive to be mindful of how I conduct myself in public and in private, and how those things impact the energy that transfers in the other units.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you. Sister Zoya.
Yes, ma'am. I'll have to agree with Sister Tara for sure. Especially as a college student, I have to always remember who I'm representing on that campus, because it takes me back to how I got there in the first place. It was a lot of help from the believers of the nation, a lot of the teachings, my background. It's just like my whole life pretty much is involved in Islam, and for me to I have to remember who I'm representing and who I am as a person. So knowing how to act at home and abroad, like practicing that behind closed doors helps. It makes it a lot easier to be out in public and just be myself. Because I'm already like that, behind closed doors. I'm like that with friends, family, and in general. So, yes, ma'am.
Beautiful. And Sister Zoya, I'm going to ask you to do us in the Nation of Islam a favor, and I would like you to talk about your journey as a student at Muhammad University of Islam and Asiatic Minds, and why that is so important for decision making for education for parents, how that has benefited you in this journey where you are now in higher education, and how you can help become an advocate for that for the parents.
Yes, ma'am. Both MUI and Asiatic Minds definitely helped me, like more than I knew when I was in school. It helped me in college. I would say one of the biggest things is the constant um, application of of the teachings and like the not the theoretical, but the teaching of it, and then we constantly applied it to what we were learning. And I think that learning the Islam every day, like that, just re-emphasizing that every day to us, it really is. It touches you in your heart rather than just becoming repetitive at a point. And it'll hit you like in different points. But like even if you're learning it at a young age and you don't understand it, as you grow up in in MUI or in Asiatic minds, it'll start to settle in the more you learn different things. So it hits you on levels, but having it from younger ages or having it from a young age is like really important if you want to get like the fullest effect of it. But yeah, like those those two schools influenced my discipline 1000%. I can tell you now, like Sister Ayana, a lot of my teachers, Sister Atifa, my grandmother, like they definitely prepare you for college. They don't sugarcoat anything. They don't lie to you and tell you like, oh, it's gonna be hard, but it's not gonna be that hard. Like they tell you, they give you the workload to prepare you for college. Like the workload that I'm having in college, I think my English teacher in Asia Advance was giving us kind of that workload. But yeah, so yeah, you get that workload even before you hit college, so it's not that hard of a transition. But just growing up around the re-emphasis of Islam, it makes it easier for you to accept it and to just like really know the truth of who you are.
All praises due to Allah. And Sister Hara, last night we all experienced a beautiful celebration of Mother Khadija's 90th birthday. And near the end, there was a segment where a young brother did a story, and it was with God's mind and my hand, what she could make. So, with your God mind in your hands, what would you like to contribute to the Nation of Islam?
Oh, Allah, that's a very deep question. um, I think what I would like to contribute to the nation is love, sisterhood, being a student. Um, but I think, yeah, I think definitely giving love, being a sister, wanting for my sister what I want for myself, wanting for my brother what I want for myself, and being a student, always being an example of being studied and being well versed, as my beautiful sister Zoya was just describing, just being an example and just being loving, just being loving.
All praises due to Allah. And with that, we thank you so much. I'm sure that all of the listening audience, viewing audience, yes, ma'am, Sister Zoya.
I'm so sorry. I would like to add something to the previous question if I can.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So a good example of what I was just explaining to your question was in my English class. I was taking this semester English Honors 11, and my professor, I had turned in my first paper, and I've always loved English. Like that's just been my favorite subject, like since forever. Um, but I had turned in a paper, and I guess he put it in an AI scanner, and he had scanned it for AI and gave me a 0 for it. I didn't use any AI at all, because Sister Ayana, she warned us about that in school. Like, we were not allowed to use any AI. She taught us how to, properly format a paper. And in general, I in my writing, I like to be very visual, and I like to use synonyms and big words, I guess. I don't think they were big words, but it was just like the teachings that I got in Asiatic Minds really transferred, and MUI in Asiatic Minds transferred over to my writing that I do now. So I had emailed him about the paper, and I was like, and I had CC'd my advisor on it. And basically, I had to advocate for myself, saying like I didn't use AI on the paper, and he really just didn't believe me. So once I had CC'd my advisor, and we was going back and forth on the emails, eventually he had ended up giving me a 95 on the paper. After I had, brought it to him, I was like, this is actually a very serious matter. People get, expelled from college for using AI or cheating on their papers. So I would say those two schools, HX Minds and MUI, they definitely teach you how to advocate for yourself. And also that you're not the average student. Like, they honestly, the professors will try to limit your writing and try to dumb down your work that you do. But I would say just don't allow them to do that, because you have to learn how to advocate for yourself, basically, especially if you're coming out of MUI and Asiatic Minds.
All praises due to Allah. Thank you both. And at this time, I'm going to turn it back to Brother West, who will give us our announcements and close us out for the evening. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, man.
Walaikum salam,
Yes.
ma'am.
So, family, we just have a couple announcements for you. I'm going to put them on the screen now. Just a second. Okay, praise be to Allah. So, family, first, we just want to invite you to study with the Nation of Islam. So, if you like what you've heard today, if you would like to learn more, you can visit us at one of our locations, either a study group or a mosque. If you would like to find one, you can visit NOI.org/go study. Also, if you're ready to start the process to join the Nation of Islam, if you're ready to become one of us, you can go to NOI.org/join. Next, if you have any questions, any comments, or anything you would like to know, you can call us at 773-324-6000. Once again, that's 773-324-6000. Next, of course, we have our wonderful resource, the Final Call Radio. So Final Call Radio is just a wonderful radio that you can tune in to hear live lectures from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan each and every day, 24/7, 7 days a week. We do not take off for Thanksgiving, Christmas, any other holiday you can name. Even during Savior's Day, you can tune in to Final Call Radio, of course. So next, just go to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button for some of those live lectures 24/7. And this week, we are celebrating, as Sister Latifa mentioned not too long ago, the wonderful, wonderful birth anniversary of our dear sister, Mother Khadija Muhammad, who is the wife of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, for those who may not know. So she has turned 90 years old. All praises due to Allah. Matter of fact, let me say 90 years young. 90 years young, because, of course, they are still very alive and well, very vibrant. So make sure you tune in and pick up this latest edition of the Final Call newspaper, of course. Next, our host, Brother Donald Muhammad, has been blessed to write a wonderful children's book. So this children's book that's being held by his granddaughter is wonderful. It's equipped with a lot of vibrant illustrations by our dear sister, Amina Lay, out there on the West Coast. So if you would like to pick this up for one of your grandchildren, or even if you're a child at heart, you can go ahead to Amazon.com and pick up I Never Knew I Am All That. Once again, Amazon.com, and I Never Knew I Am All That today. Next, family, if you're in the Richmond, Virginia area, the same area as our dear sisters that were on tonight, you can go to the Hobson Lodge at 801 Prince Hall Drive, Richmond, Virginia, at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday to hear the reality of God. So just some more life-giving, life-saving teachings delivered by student minister Tracy Muhammad, who is the local representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So once again, that's 801 Prince Hall Drive, Hobson Lodge, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday. Next, if you're down here with us, like me, myself, in the Baltimore area, you can go to Muhammad Mosque number 6, and we are currently meeting at 2801 North Dukeland Street. So every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can hear the renewing of your mind, either delivered by, of course, student Imam Abdul Salam Muhammad, or it may even be our co-host, Sister Janine Muhammad, on some Sundays. So make sure you come visit us, 2801 North Dukeland Street, at Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Praise be to Allah. All right, family. And with that, we are going to close out in prayer. I believe we don't have any more announcements. I want to thank you once again for tuning in to another wonderful episode of WHID-FM. Before we close out, we'll go to Sister Tara and Sister Zoya. If you have any closing comments, anything you want to leave the audience with tonight. Sister Tara.
Yes, sir. I just simply wanted to say thank you for allowing us to be on the show on such a momentous platform. I think the biggest thing is that I would leave with is just accept your own and be yourself.
Praise be to Allah. That's a wonderful way to close out the night. Sister Zoya, any closing comments from you, man?
Yes, sir. Just want to thank y'all for having me on again for the second time. I enjoyed my time again answering the questions. And yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Praise be to Allah. Wa alaikum salam. And with that, family, we are going to close out in prayer once again. We thank you all for tuning in. Without you, there is no WHID-FM. So, of course, in the chat, Brother Cornelius, Sister Zatima, who else we have? Brother Aaron Flowers, I believe, Sister Samantha, Sister Stephanie Musawwir, who is Sister Zoya's mother, I believe. Yes, Sister Zoya's mother, of course. Then we have Brother Patrick Muhammad, Sister Rochelle Parker, all of you, Sister Sabrina, all of you that tune in to WHID-FM consistently. We want to thank you all for tuning in, spending your time with us. And with that, we're going to close out in prayer. Attention prayer. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum, family.
This house is dedicated to knowledge and to the spreading of knowledge. Elijah Muhammad inspired new thought, new mind, new way of civilization among black people. But he wanted a house from which a light could be lifted up to give guidance to all who would be guided as this world begins to close down. This National Center for the re-education and retraining of the black man and woman, but for the totality of the human family of our planet. I named this mosque after the only woman that the Quran names a chapter after, the mother of Jesus, Maryam. All human beings need to be re-educated. That is the purpose of the National Center.